What's going on? It's Aaron Deacon here from Bios Nutrients, the amateur blue-eyed scientist, and today I want to talk about cover crops. Cover crops are a really cool thing. They are similar to mulch. I'm sure most people have heard of mulch. It is that wood chippy stuff that covers the garden beds that people have in their lawns. They're like, I am drawing a blank on what it's called right now, just their garden in their backyard that they grow their fruits and veggies in. They use mulch on that to basically prevent evaporation. That is the main purpose of mulch. Generally, sorry, I shouldn't say that. There are a few main purposes of it. The one main purpose is preventing evaporation so that your soil stays moist longer. It's not just drying up on the surface. The other is weed suppression. So it basically creates a dry layer between the top of the soil and the air layer, and seeds have a very hard time germinating in that. They need soil, so when there's a couple inch layer of mulch, seeds will just not germinate, so you're not going to get weeds in your garden. But what I want to talk about is living mulch. It is the same as grass. If you look at grass on the ground, that is a living mulch. What it's doing is protecting the soil underneath from the harsh sun that is going to dry it out. If you look at a patch of ground that doesn't have any grass on it, it's just, I'm looking at some right now, it is light brown and crusty and not very nice. It sucks on the feet and it's not fun to lay on, but grass is beautiful to lay on. So what it's doing is protecting the soil from the sun, is protecting the soil from the wind as well, so there is no erosion happening on soil that doesn't have any grass. That wind is basically blowing that top layer of soil off and that is soil erosion. So grass is holding the soil in place, and it is also basically acting as a solar power plant for the soil. So the cool thing about plants is that through photosynthesis, they release or they secrete different substances out of their roots, like proteins and starches and sugars, and basically all the ingredients that are needed to bake a cake are being released into the ground all the time from plants. Just thank you to the sun. And what's happening is that all that food that's being released in the soil is being consumed by different microbes like bacteria and fungi and protozoa and trillions of others. And what they're doing is those microbes are breaking down nutrients in the soil for plants to eat. So it's basically like a giant fertilizer factory underneath grass. So the idea of a living mulch is basically taking that idea of having grass protecting your soil and doing that on your garden. So a lot of people don't want weeds in their garden, but the cool thing about living mulch is you usually do it with 1, 2, or maybe 3 different types of plants. So it is like a controlled weed. It's only the one that you want, and usually these cover crops or living mulches they grow so fast that they basically squeeze out any other weed that could be growing in your garden. So one of my favorites is clover. If you can ever get your hands on some red clover, there's white clover, crimson clover, there are a bunch of different kinds of clover, and clovers are a legume. So they're a bean, part of the bean family. And legumes have this very special ability to attract certain bacteria that pull nitrogen out of the air. And if you look at the history of commercial agriculture, the only reason that we can grow so much food right now is because we learned how to pull the nitrogen out of the air. We learned how to fix nitrogen. So these bacteria are called nitrogen fixing bacteria because they can pull nitrogen straight out of the air and they can bring it right down into the soil for your plants to absorb, which is amazing. So simply growing a specific type of grass you can do this on your indoor plants as well, or your outdoor plants, you are adding nitrogen back to the soil from those microbes. You are protecting that top of the soil from direct exposure to light, which dries it out. You are protecting it from air exposure as well, which also dries it out. So you're retaining moisture in that soil. You are also have tons of microbes attracted to the roots of that specific type of grass, which is producing even more nutrition for your plants 24/7. Because when things are alive, they poop, and that is like worm castings for your plant, but it's just living all over your roots 24/7, which is really cool. So cover crop is beautiful. Cover crop living mulch exact same thing. I know I've used it interchangeably in this, but yeah, it's very interesting. You can use winter rye as well as another one, so you can grow it at different seasons of the year to add different nutrients. Alfalfa is a beautiful one. Alfalfa is a really cool cover crop / living mulch because it has a certain hormone in it. It's called tricantanol, and it is a growth hormone for plants. So you can apply this tricantanol to plants and they grow much bigger, much faster. So adding this back to your soil once it dies back or you have to chop it down is adding all of those beautiful nutrients right back to your soil. So you're constantly feeding your soil both at the roots with the microbes, and then when you chop that grass down, it feeds the soil. So yeah, it's a very interesting way to mulch your plants. And you can also get into companion planting, which we'll cover on the next one, but it's basically using other types of plants to make other plants more pest resistant or to fight off certain pests. So let's get into that one next. I think that's a cool one. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you want to learn more, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to learn even more, please send us a message and we will email you our 10 steps to keep plants healthier that covers everything from A to Z and includes a very beautiful bonus on soil health and how you can learn everything about the microbes in soil and how to make your soil better at home. So if you're interested in that, send me a message, I'll send it over to you, and thank you again for your time. I appreciate you watching.